setup instructions for your DeWalt LT system. So get your stand, set it up. First thing you want to do is mount the saw to the stand using the provided DeWalt saw mounting rails here. And then you should have your 2 DeWalt accessories already on the stand as well. And what you're going to want to do, extend your wing out and lock it in place to begin with. And then we're going to take our fence, and easiest way to do this is set the fence upside down on the accessories here. Then if you take your adapter block, the one with the pin on it, you want to be on the inside closer to the stand. And if you'll see, there's a hole drilled in your fence right here. There's also a hole in the adapter block and a designator for where the center mark is. So when you install it here, you want to just make sure that you're lining that center mark up with that hole. So when I push that down, that hole lines up with that hole, and then I can slide my pin into there, locking the 2 together. Then I'm going to take my other adapter block, this one without a tether on it. This one's going to go on the outside, and I want to just slide it in about where it's right above the accessory. Obviously there's some adjustment for the accessories and the wings, so you don't have to be perfect. You're going to get those 2 laid into your fence just like that. Then we're going to go ahead and flip the fence over. And then we want to adjust where everything's sitting. So first thing you're going to want to do is make sure to move the accessory so that it's centered underneath the black adapter block while your fence is flush up to the saw right here. And then you can tighten it into place like that. And then with the outside one, we just want to make sure that we're sitting approximately centered on it as well. Once you're there, you can grab a level or another straight edge. You're going to put it across the back of your saw. And the first thing you're trying to adjust, so you want to squeeze it so you're perfectly square to the saw like this. And then while you're holding that in place, you're just going to want to pull around on the fence until you get it running out perfectly straight to the back of your saw. Once you're there, then you can go ahead and make sure that your outer guy is locked in good and your inner guy is nice and tight. And then we're going to work on adjusting for height. So I'm going to flip my straight edge that way. Looks like I need to come down a little bit. So I'm just going to take these 2 outside knobs on the DeWalt accessory. And if you loosen those, that allows this to slide up and down. Okay, so you're going to want to slide that until you're right at the right height and then tighten it down. If you find that it does not go low enough to meet the bed of your saw, you will find in your hardware kit a saw spacer kit with longer nuts and bolts. You're going to want to take your saw off and install those spacers between the DeWalt mounting post and the saw to raise the saw up. All right, so once you got everything leveled out, then you're going to want to get out a Sharpie, or I recommend one of FastCap's long nose markers. These make it really easy for marking deep in holes. You're just going to want to carefully mark right where the front of that adapter block is sitting on both of these metal pieces. If you have the long nose marker, that'll make it actually easy to come in and mark on the back side too, which can be helpful when you're drilling, but isn't totally necessary. Once you got it marked, then you can go ahead and take everything off of here. Put the level out of the way. And then I'm going to just flip my fence over here, pull the pin out, and then pop my adapter blocks out. Then I'm going to set my fence out of the way carefully. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my adapter blocks and set them back on here. Make sure that you have the 2 little ears facing away from you. That's how it was in the stand. And then you're going to carefully position these right to where your Sharpie marks were on both of them. And then you can either take, again, your long nose marker, works really well for reaching down in the hole and marking center, or you can just go ahead and freehand it by holding your block carefully in place right to your Sharpie mark, taking the provided 1/4 inch drill. You're just going to drill right down through about center in both of these slots. Now, obviously, if you're a little bit off, there's going to be some adjustment ability later. First of all, these slots will allow this block to slide about a 1/4 inch. And then if that's not enough, you can always loosen these nuts on the back here, which will allow the entire top metal bracket of the DeWalt piece to slide. But once you got those two drilled, then in your hardware kit, you should find some nylock nuts and some 1/4-20 bolts, and you're just going to go ahead and install those through the hole. The bolt goes down through the top, and then the nut's going to come up from the bottom, and there should be a provided Allen key for tightening that down. You're just going to go ahead and lock those guys in. Once you got all 4 nuts and bolts installed, you can go ahead and pop your fence back on, put that pin in, and I recommend giving just one last check with your level that everything's straight and square. There you go.